Hello and welcome to Language Clinic channel. This is romantic poet Shelley or P.B. Shelley, who is a poet of melancholy. P.B. Shelley has been recognized as one of the enlightened romantic poets in the field of English literature for his newness and novelty in conveying optimism by his poetical genius. Usually, Shelley has been measured as a revolutionary poet. Most of his poems are furnished with the optimistic views in removing the miseries of the whole mankind, but to Skylark is a poem containing his melancholic attitude towards life to some extent. To Skylark starts with the hailing of the poet as he has addressed the bird to be the blessed spirit. The melancholic view exists in his setting a comparison between human life and that of the skylark regarding the juxtaposition of joy and sorrow in human life. Skylark has not been embodied as a mere bird singing in the bush, but also has been depicted as a bird gifted with the perennial power of singing continuously. Skylark never has experienced any bitter and adverse happenings which are usually faced by the human beings. The poet finds the touch of melancholic tune in the melodious voice of the bird Skylark. This poem may be deemed to be the reflection of Shelley as a melancholic poet for the following context. Firstly, Shelley seems to have been greatly enchanted by the perpetual impact of the song, which infatuated the whole universe. The poet desired to know the secrets of the joyous song of the bird, but was not successful in discovering the happy strain of the bird. Since the poet wanted to get taught by the bird and the teaching of gladness, and he resolved to convey the impact of the happiness of the happiest songs of the bird to enchant the whole humankind. It is really a matter of pessimism when the poet suffered from the frustration of failing to know the origin of the bird's joyous song, as the poet says, "Teach me half thy gladness that thy brain must know." Secondly, the poet suffered from the touch of pessimism when he compared the permanence of the joyous song of the bird to the happiest moment of short duration of human life. The bird is away from the close of death. Human life suffers from the pangs of death and becomes the common victim of mortality. So, the immortality of the bird and the mortality of human life is not life not only create a contrast between the two, but also grow melancholic passion in the heart of the poet. Thirdly, the poet Shelley witnessed human life afflicted with various torments and agonies. Human life starts with the shedding of tears. The tearful eyes of human beings indicate the invisible affliction lying in the heart of man. The poet has expressed his deep anguish and melancholic signs as he says, "If we were things born not to shed a tear, I know not how thy joy should ever come near." In this context, the poet has set a realistic contrast between the crucial realities and pangs of life and delightful arena of the bird skylark. As human beings, we are bound to shed tears when we find ourselves faced with the adversities of life. The bird does not have any experience of the pangs of life as the human beings have. Fourthly, the poet has stated the painful trend of human life. The beastly instincts lying in human life cause a lot of miseries that destroy the peaceful atmosphere. Hate, pride, and fear are the common instincts begetting different disasters in in man's life. The poet, with melancholic attitude, sought the means of overcoming these scornful chapters of human life by the gladness of the immortal bird. Fifthly, as man is a psychological being, he is sure to be the victim of melancholy in his life. Melancholy is said to be an abstract and invisible torture of human heart, deriving from the loss, frustration, pessimism, and bitterness of life. The poet says, "Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thoughts." Shelley has presented some universally acknowledged features of human life. He philosophizes that the happiest moments of man's life are the products of his pain and pathos, meaning that our happiness is the aftermath or consequence of our suffering. Our victory, our success, and delights are furnished with the invisible ornaments of sorrow and melancholic experience. The poem To a Skylark is a poem reflecting the poet's great aspiration and thirst for overcoming the miseries existing in human life by the teaching of the gladness and joyous song of the bird. In this poem, the first part is meant to glorify the bird, containing perennial song of delight, but the second part of the poem contains the contrast between the life of man and that of the skylark. Sixth, the poet says, "Thou lovest not, thou lovest, but never knew love's sad satiety." In this context, the poet has illustrated another sign of melancholic tune lying in the experience of human love. The poet has compared a skylark to a high-born maiden in a palace tower, as if the maiden was supposed to be affected by her love-laden soul. The poet has also compared the bird to a glowworm, what is golden in a deep of dew, scattering its colorful hue among the flowers and grass. The bird has also been compared to a rose embowered in its own green leaves. The poet was greatly overwhelmed with the impact of the song of the bird. The bird, with its joyous, clear, and fresh music, might affect all the objects of nature. The poet addressed the bird as a spirit and sought to be taught by the skylark, as he says, teach us, spirit or bird, what sweet thoughts are thine." The symbolic significance of the bird appears to be of great appeal to the poet, as he has desired to be taught by the bird. In the poem, the poet has also compared the happy life of the bird to the hard realities of human life. He has depicted a contrast between the joys of human life and that of the bird. There was a touch of ambiguity in the mind of the poet regarding the experiences of the bird. The poet says that the bird does not have any experience of pain, love, and melody existing in the life of human beings. The bird is aloof from the love's sad satiety. No shadow of annoyance or languor near to the bird. The bird has been depicted as an ignorant being having no experience of the bitter taste of death, the poet says. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. The poet has stated the universal picture of human life. The happiest moments and events of man's life are mingled or associated with the painful experience. The bird does not have any experience of hate, pride, or fear. It is also away from the experience of shedding tears. Our joys and happiness are based on our sorrow and sufferings. The poet has desired to be acquainted with the joy of the bird. The poet has considered the sources of bird's joy better than all measures and all treasures. The poet says, "From my lips would flow the world should listen then as I am listening now." Shelley has concluded the poem to a skylark with two longings. He has addressed the bird as the scorner of the ground. With due thirst, the poet wanted to have the teachings of its gladness. Skylark perhaps knew all the sources of joy and pleasure. The poet has expected that the whole world would be eager to listen to him as he listened to the bird. He was very much optimistic in conveying the message obtained from the skylark, embodied as the spirit of bringing greatest change in the world for the mankind in the days to come. So, in conclusion, we can say that Shelley is a poet of melancholy. So, thank you. And if you like the video, you can subscribe to this channel.